Right.
We're here with my life coach, many people's life coach. You're an author, entrepreneur,
Yes.
man about the people,
Man of the town.
man of the town,
Yes.
Mr. Breck Costin.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you
of
too.
Of course, right? In my home.
I'm in your home.
Well, my office, actually. The home is in there, but this is
It's
the office.
on the other side of
yes,
the wall.
Right. And it's all decorated in Christmas decorations.
Do you consider yourself a life coach? Is that like what you would title yourself?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have a problem with that term.
People really do. Like when I told my fans that I was going to be interviewing you, they were like, life coach, that's so LA.
Yeah. Well, it's also pretty universal at this point. Maybe not in Austria or Germany, right?
Yeah.
Or China, but I think it's universal. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years, so it's...
How did you...
How old are you?
How old are you?
I'm like the great-grandfather of self-help.
You're ageless.
Right.
You can never have an age. You have to survive forever. People need you.
Yes. The way I want to die, though, is I want to like go, and the secret to life, I finally realized is, and then die. Just yes, that's how.
You're like, damn it,
that's
revive
how.
him.
That's how I'd like to go out.
Revive him.
Right.
He's got a DNR. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. So a lot of more people have a problem with the term life coach. For me, I think, and maybe that's a little bit of arrogance on my, because I think it's about critical thinking and really having an understanding of what people can't see and don't see, and providing direction and guidance, and using as many tools as you can, from literary, creative, ontological, which means kind of the state of being, and motivation and inspiration, and then strategies. So it really offers up an enormous amount of variables and tools. But people think of life coach could be anything from babysitting to taking a company public and everything in between.
Babysitting?
Well, I mean, a lot of times, people are life coaches are just saying, okay, I'm gonna call you up and ask you if you've have you met your goals. And I'm not providing that service at all. I'm pretty expensive, so I think to hold to keep manage someone's goals would be like not a good use of my time.
Yeah, and I think life coach falls short for me to describe what you do, because there's also so much therapy involved with it, because essentially what I've learned from being with you is your core issue will permeate every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Until you sort of look it right in the eye and figure out what the issue is and what that underlying thing is. For me, being trauma, you have to sort of excavate it before you can really succeed in any other avenue. Yeah,
I think that. I mean, I certainly think that's true. I someone asked me, well, what's the difference between a therapist and a coach? And I think a therapist, obviously they're credentialed. I don't think you really can credential a coach, even though so many people go to these things like they go to Coach University and they get credentialed. I mean, I think it's strictly instinctual still, very much. You develop a body of knowledge after so many years, but so the difference between a therapist, other than credentialed, and a body of knowledge, and then you develop instincts. I think a good life coach has to come from a body of experience.
Absolutely.
You really have to have done enough, failed enough, started enough, created enough. I mean, I've been married 3 times, and I've got the biggest couples counseling practice in this town, I'm sure, right? And people go, well, why?
3 times a charm.
Exactly. Well, why would I come to you? I said, well, I don't know. You have to answer that question yourself. I just know that I love being married. Been with my wife for 29 years, 25 years together. I just sucked at it. I was so bad at it. I had to figure it out and get it right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the difference between a coach and a great player. A great player doesn't know why he's great. They're just great.
Yeah.
The coach probably loves the game even maybe more than the player, and has had to figure out how to be good at it and how to be successful at it. And so that's how I think of myself as when I counsel couples, right? I've had to really figure out every nuance and every breakdown and every problem because I was so horrible at it.
Do you think there's a handful of issues, or people are so dynamic that it's strictly an independent thing? Or do you think there's 10 or 20 things that constantly occur in relationships?
Oh, you mean just in relationships?
Yeah,
right?
issues-wise with couples.
Yeah, they're pretty much. I mean, mostly. That's what's so great. I'll be sitting in here and I'll go, oh my God, I have exactly the same conversation as this guy, and then the woman is exactly the same as my wife. We're pretty much. There's variations on the theme, but the themes are pretty consistent.
Right.
And so I mean, that's one thing I do. So so when you talk about the emotional component, which you're talking about the issues, the core issues.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a strong emotional component. And I usually start with the soil before I get to the seeds.
Yeah.
I need to kind of check out and excavate and figure out, okay, where does this person listen? How does this person listen? What are their protocols? How do they think? What are their traumas that have influenced their decisions? Are they in a reactive state? You can be highly productive in a reactive state. Just means that there's a finite amount of production to that. It's gonna end up backing up on itself at some point. So I'm always looking to see like where what are the influences, people, places, things that have determined this person and what's made their choices in life, before I really start to introduce strategies and creative expressions. And as you said, you introduced me. I believe I can't be asking things of people if I haven't done them myself.
Yeah, and you have your hands in everything.
Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur. So I've got a number of businesses that I've started and founded.
F-Star Revolution.
F-Star Revolution
My
is a street brand that we started.
Love it.
And we started with a quote that, I write thousands of quotes and blogs and stuff. So I started the quote, rock, paper, scissors, vagina always wins, right? And it just
vagina always wins.
And it just happens to be, I'm sure people might take, umbrage to that, but I think,
that's my slogan.
Yeah. And it's become, and now it's gaining an enormous amount of traction and sales. But I told my partner Grace, who's a very, very successful fashion designer and in the fashion industry and merchandiser,
and beautiful.
I said, yeah, do not think about this like how you were at Ralph Lauren or something, or introducing the way you introduce a product. You've got to think of this as introducing a conversation and developing a community. I said, so we're going to wait 2 years. I don't care if there's one sale. So it's an entirely different arc.
Yeah, and it's a different approach to a quote-unquote apparel line, but it's not. If you're starting with a conversation, it's like more of a movement.
Yeah, it's a movement. And that's what I said. Think of this in an entirely different way. And we've got product that supports the movement, not, the other way around.
Yeah.
And then I started a company. I founded a company along with 3 other partners called Smarty Pants, which is a nutraceutical gummy bear. If I could say nutraceutical.
Nutraceutical. That's a good word.
A nutraceutical gummy bear, right? Started for our kids' health and brain development, and now there's like 12 products. It's a very big. It's a home run.
That's a great name, Smarty Pants.
I came up with that in literally 30 seconds, right? I was going, oh, what about that? And I go, hey, how about Smarty Pants? And then that became
how do you balance all that? Because you've been writing, written books, you're writing a book.
I've got so many. I've got 4 books that are, that are all pretty much teed up for this next year. So now it just needs to be published. I had a publishing deal with Putnam for my Absolute Freedom book, but I didn't want to publish what they wanted to. So I started writing 15, 18 years ago, which was my
what was the issue?
It was what are the 6 steps to freedom, right?
Right.
And that's not the way that I work. I work much more of in a narrative form and a kind of dialogue form.
Yeah.
So it can't be so didactic.
Right.
Or so linear.
Which is lists.
And I don't even think like things don't come into existence that way.
No, they don't. It's very messy and
you're
it's
constantly
fluid.
pivoting, and you're pivoting all the time and
backtracking, going
and
forward,
adapting, and that's
skipping ahead, coming back.
So it wasn't an authentic way of bringing something into existence, and it didn't replicate my work at all. So I said, oh shit, I've got to write myself, and then I started writing, which was my major in college, and it kind of resurrected something that's really cathartic for me and really wonderful, and it's become meditative and out of a breakdown, it's like kind of out of the ashes.
Yeah.
Shit, I've got to write this myself because I can't stand this voice that they want me to write. I got to hear the right voice.
Yeah.
The authentic voice. And I said, shit, so I've got to write this. And then I was kind of resistant. And then it's ended up being this really wonderful, meditative, creative expression.
Is it
for myself.
the piece? Is it what you read to me when I was in session with you? Is it a piece of that?
I don't know.
Your memoir?
Oh yeah, there's a memoir.
Right.
It's a self-help.
Oh, that's
book.
right, because it's different.
It's a memoir, self-help. Then I've got this book called Core Confusions, which is
I just feel like I'm constantly confused about.
which is the essence. Of that really is the essence of my work. I've distilled it down into the most simplistic form, so there's a portal, an entry portal for people to get into the work.
Right. Like you say, there's 4 core issues?
No, there's not. No, a core confusion is something that replicates itself as something else. It looks like something else, but has an entirely different effect.
What's an example
like
of that?
Arrogance and confidence would be a core confusion. So everyone has 2 or 3, maybe 4 core confusions. There's central core confusions, right? And so arrogance. So if you've got one, you've got the other. If you've got arrogance, you've got confidence. You've got confidence, you've got arrogance. And why I call it a confusion is because you just think like you're just speaking. You don't have any distinctions like which side of the tracks you're speaking on.
You don't know from what core you're talking from?
You don't know what context you're speaking from. So some people think that they're that they don't know why they're being a repellent this time, and so they're being really why they're attracting something some other times, right?
So is that where
So
arrogance is driving and then confidence is driving?
You get to see like, and then you start to see like, oh, what are the elements of confidence and what are the elements of arrogance, right? Given that's your course, and you start to err on the positive side because that's more attractive, so more times than not, and then it's no longer confusion, right?
Right,
The confusion because you know it.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's clear, right? So that's why I call it a core confusion because you're not clear. You don't even know. You just think, well, I'm just speaking. This is just me. And I go, yeah, well, you're an asshole. How's that?
What do you think my core confusion is? As long as you've known me.
Oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that.
I know because we've never really gone into
no, we
that.
have no, because I don't normally put that into the nomenclature or
Right.
into my seminars, right?
Yeah.
I usually use that. I mean, I put it in a very particular seminar.
It's a specific. It's more of like it's a different approach.
It's a different
not-
approach,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Because you have your Wednesday night
Right.
meetups that I've been a part of, but
Yeah.
if you had to,
I'm trying to think. It might be, and I don't know, but I don't think this is. I'd have to have my list in front of me.
Yeah.
Because there's 50 core confusions that I put together. There's more, but those are the 4.
but usually people, like most commonly, there's about 4.
Yeah, let me
within
just. I'll
each
give you
person.
I'll give you mine, and then I'll go to yours.
Yes.
So obvious arrogance and confidence is mine, right?
I definitely have that.
And arrogance and confidence is also and that's why I do in relationships. I do core connections. So the core confusions, and then there's a core connections.
What's
and
a core connection?
core confusions are the core confusions in your relationships. So they're called core connections. So and it's always dysfunctional. That's dysfunctional chemistry that has us attracted to one another.
Do opposites always attract?
Dysfunctions attract more than opposites attract.
Whoa.
So arrogance and confidence. So with my wife, she's got critical and direct as a core confusion. So you can see they look the same, right?
I definitely have that.
They look very similar, right? And I think you do have critical and direct,
I definitely
right?
have that.
So when critical is talking to arrogance, it's a it's a bloodbath. So, and when direct is talking to confidence, it's magic, right?
Okay.
So understanding the difference of who's talking, and that's what sorts out the relationship. You can sort things out that way. And if someone's head is not up their ass, meaning like let's say confidence is speaking, they can diffuse critical.
Wow.
So that's how you diffuse, relationships. So
Fuck.
I also have intention and ambition.
Yes.
And you have that too.
Yes.
Right?
What is it?
Intention and ambition.
Ooh.
Intention comes from within and it's natural expression of you. Ambition is like an outcome, like you're trying to prove something.
Interesting.
So, and they look the same, right? So, and you have intention and ambition. I think that is one of your core confusions, right? So,
what would be an example of intention and ambition? Like a specific.
Well,
maybe approaching
you
an
naturally
audition.
have to. Well, you naturally have to create and play and connect. That'd be intention. Like you can't help it be funny, right? Ambition would be like you need to be seen as funny. You need to prove something, right? You need to and it's you're not really in the present time. You're down the road.
Interesting.
So understanding more and having more distinctions in any area, and this is in the area of your own evolution, development, human behavior, productivity. Understanding these distinctions makes all the difference in your effectiveness.
It opens the world.
Yeah, so that's why I can't really consider myself a life coach in that way, because I don't think people are thinking in these kinds of critical terms. I really think in terms of let's liberate you and free you up first, and then you'll naturally take the right actions and you'll naturally produce. And are you in the right place doing the right thing? And most people are out of position.
What is the most common issue you think with people? Like you say, out of position.
Yeah, I think that is the most common. They want to be something that they're not, right?
They're not being realistic about where they are.
Yeah, they're not true to kind of who they are.
Like Jeff.
Like
they don't know him. We don't have to go into it.
No.
There's
Well, I've got hundreds of clients that I can go through different things where we've just subtly changed things, even in the area of their entrepreneurship. Like, oh, you shouldn't. Because this one guy said, I don't understand what the hell it is that you're pitching and what is the business. And then we talked about it, and then we just subtly shifted it, and he had already raised money for it, even though I didn't understand how he did, because I couldn't understand the actual product.
Right.
But we shifted it, and it just then completely, just in terms of a nuance, and then it went through the roof. So it's really about even like these subtle nuances, these subtle changes that that could be like, oh, I'm a soap actor, no, I'm a commercial actor, right? Rather than I'm just this is I'm just an actor. No, because there's people who are really just brilliant commercial actors.
Right.
And that's their genius.
Exactly.
Right. And understanding that rather than I should be a film actor, well, maybe not,
Like the Geico lady.
Yeah, like the
Or the
Geico
progressive lady.
Yeah, the progressive lady, right?
She's great.
Yeah, so it's like really, and it doesn't mean that someone can't aspire to something else. It just means you kind of have to know what your wheelhouse is, really. And so, people think, oh, well, that's not enough or that's not satisfying enough. And I'm saying, no, if you look at a profession, whatever the profession is, it encompasses all these different qualities and characteristics that someone might have. Right? And it really fits them. Like, how come so many stand-up comedians have their own series? Right?
Yeah.
It's because they're so immediate and they need immediate
that damned
feedback,
attention.
and they need that feedback quickly,
Yes.
right? And they need to be useful because if they're too much time on their hands, they can get into big trouble.
Why do you
right?
think also
But a film actor can go from months and it's all lifestyle and they can hang out, right? And they can develop something.
Yeah, they could
there's no way a stand-up comedian can do that.
No.
Right? You need to be that's why television's so perfectly designed for that.
Yeah.
That rhythm, that music. So it's really understanding yourself in such a profound way and not apologizing or being ashamed of what you don't have.
You talk a lot about getting out of your own way.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us are in our own way, right? And you can tell in what areas they're in their own way.
Right.
Like could be in relationships, could be in health, could be in body.
Trauma.
Like I have this guy who's insanely successful businessman, hedge fund guy. But he looks like he's 5'5", and he's and
It's so tiny.
He's tiny, and he's got this fucking massive body, right? And he goes, I really feel good about what I'm doing. I go, you look kind of stupid, right? And I'll say shit like that. I said,
That's why I love you, because
you're
like that.
you're lifting weights ridiculous. He goes, I can lift more weights. I go, yeah, but you should be doing more aerobics and thinning out a little bit. You look a little bit too compact, right? And so people are always picking the wrong exercise even for themselves,
right? They don't understand.
know and exercise even evolves over time, right?
Yeah.
Meaning you can't be doing the same thing you did when you were 25.
No, you have to evolve.
You got to be looking to see, well, what makes sense and what makes sense for my body and what can my body actually do. So in terms of whatever the situation, relationship, career, health, craft, sex, your partnerships, all of those are really important to be able to understand, are you in the right place doing the right thing? And I also look at freedom as kind of my tag word.
What do you mean by that?
That people they're liberated. They're not engaged. They're not threatened. They're not reactive. They're not underwater. They really feel free. So I think when you're freed up, liberated, you'll be appropriate to the situation, right?
Yeah, you'll
You'll pick the right thing in the right way, and you'll even enlist other advocates. I need to know. I mean, I don't want to spend 30 years trying to figure this out. I'm going to find someone who's spent 30 years figuring it out and go to them and say, what do you think? Am I in the right place, doing the right thing with the right person?
And I think that brings me back to the original thing that I said about people thinking having a life coach is so LA. Well, since I've met you and you've been in my life, it's freed up. I feel so much more open and accepting and in the moment and present because you've sort of unlocked these situations. The one thing you talk about that I think is something that is a core teaching of yours is about essence versus identity.
No, you're close.
Tell me.
You're close. Didn't quite teach you that lesson yet.
Not yet, but I mean something you've talked about.
No, you're right. It's essence and behavior.
Behavior, yes.
Yeah. An identity is kind of you think of the identity as a headline. If I'm doing this in the kind of self-help hierarchy in a modality, like an org chart of
right.
self-help, you think of identity as kind of the CEO or the headline. And an identity is a way you want to be seen or a way you don't want to be seen. Like I've got to be seen as smart, can't be seen as stupid. I've got to be seen as creative, can't be seen as not talented. Got to be seen as funny, can't be seen as boring.
So many people in my industry, this would speak to them.
And so identities are where you watch people reacting all the time. If you say to someone hey, you're really stupid, they go, don't call me stupid. They go crazy, right? And you say because their identity is about needing to be smart or seen some other way, right? So if you say to someone yeah, you're, like I said, this one person, she's like, I really thought that I was meant to be beautiful. I go, well, who told you that, first of all? Right? I said, maybe that's not your contribution,
That's interesting.
Yeah, right? And so identities are a way you want to be seen. So when someone says they hurt my feelings, I go, probably not. They hurt your identity. They hurt the way you want to be seen.
Wow.
You want to be seen in a particular way, so you're going to react in a certain way.
And is essence always different?
And so essence is the truth of who you are.
Right.
Like, like your essence, for sure, Jessimae, is, you're creative, you're innovative, you're funny, you're bold, you're courageous, you connect with people, you love people. Those are all your essences, right? Your behavior could be like, oh, I'm disorganized, I can't get things done,
Yes.
I can't complete things,
Yes.
right? So those are all behaviors. Those aren't essences, right? Like smoking and cigarettes is a behavior, not an essence.
Well, smoking weed.
Right? Smoking weed is also a behavior, but
It's my essence.
But it's the essence of weed. it's Oda weed. So that's so there's a difference between essences and behaviors, but most people confuse those things. They collapse their essence and their behavior. They go, no, that's not your essence, that's your behavior. It's like an essence could be, someone's really good at sports, or they got great hand-eye coordination,
right.
or they're really good with numbers. Those are essences, right? Behaviors are different. So when I talk about I'm always working on distinguishing out what someone's not seeing, and whatever it is. So I'm using kind of critical thinking skills to determine, where people are landing, what they're looking at. Are they out of position? Are they thinking in a distorted way? And people are like, well, who are you to tell me this shit, right? I'm like, look, you don't have to listen to me. I know one asked you, right?
I'm just offering
I said, but if you're paying me a good deal of money, right, to kind of, then I would probably, consider it, right?
Is it ever difficult to be in a relationship because you're married? Is it hard for you to compartmentalize, or is it your essence to sort of, try and find the way to deal with something in the most healthy manner? Like, is it hard for you to be in a relationship at doing what you do, or is it?
Is it hard to be in an intimate relationship?
Yeah, because
that's the hardest thing for me. I've been married 3 times. Is that if you're
obviously
asking,
it's difficult.
that's been the hardest thing. That's been really where the core of my work's been done. Right. For some people, it's in money, it's in career, it's in craft, it's in body. No, for me, it's been intimate relationships. I mean, that's where also my traumas started. Right, so it makes sense that they would end up there or show up there.
Right.
But yeah, that's been the most difficult place because, first of all, I feel like, just like everyone, I feel like, oh, I completely know what I'm talking about, and I'm fully expressed in intimate relationships, right? So I've got a totally distorted reality.
We all think we
right?
are.
Where my wife is like, you're insane, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I remember being at a dinner party. And this is not that long ago. This just shows you that you're always learning and always evolving. I was at this dinner party, and there's about 10 people, and we're talking about high maintenance people, and I'm going, yeah, that person and this person, and I'm going, yeah, I'm really pretty easy, and they're like, and everyone like was quiet, just like it's like you could hear a pin drop, like, what? You're not easy at all. You're like one of the most high maintenance people I know, and I'm like, I am. So you're hopefully discovering yourself, but that's me in an intimate relationship. I'm really I literally think someone's fucking with me, right?
All the time.
All the time.
I think that too. Is
I
it
think
common?
I think someone's fucking with me, and like I'm going, are you sure that that this is true, right? And so I'm certainly much better. Obviously, 29 years down the road, 3 marriages.
Yes. You've learned some things.
I've learned some things, right? But
Is that a common thing for someone who's experienced trauma? Because I feel that way too. I'm like, you're fucking with me.
I think so. I think it's a common
like on the
thing.
defense.
Yeah, I think you're just defensive, right? And then you're introducing shit that's not true and creating problems and that's drama and creativity is a core confusion.
Drama
and creativity.
Fuck.
Right? Obviously.
Well, we're figuring out my core confusion.
Exactly. We are thinking yours out. Now when I'm thinking about it, I'm getting to yours, right?
Yeah.
So so that's been really, really, really challenging, right? And then so if I said when I got married to my wife, I said after a really romantic proposal, because I'm very romantic, I'm gonna say that.
Are you?
I am, yeah. I'm really romantic.
We're
right?
learning so much about each other.
I'm great at dating. No, dating I'm awesome at. I'm
It's just
freed
that-
up. Dating I'm all freed up. But as soon as I get married, it's like it's gone.
Like, oh shit.
So I said at first a very romantic proposal, and then the second proposal was now I've got to propose, with the reality. So, I'm on the way to. You can be on the cover of Brides magazine. I'm on the cover of Prison Today. You need to know. So but I'm only willing to go to prison for you. because that's what it's like for me in a relationship. She goes, well,
Is it?
Yeah. She goes, well, why would you do it then? I said, well, first of all, because that's my work, not to go into the most difficult situations and to liberate myself. I said, I'm going to decorate my cell. I'm not going to try and do jailbreaks, because in every other relationship I cheated and lied. I did whatever I wanted, right? I said, I'm going to decorate my cell, and I'm going to gain more and more understanding, more and more freedom as time goes on. And so it was, it's been and I said, I'm only willing to do it for you. So it's not like a science experiment.
What was it about her?
I just, I was dating like a crazy person after my second marriage, right? I was like paroled, right? Get me out of here, right? So I mean, every girl that I went out with, and this is obviously years and years ago, and so I don't even know the dating scene at this point.
It's on the cell phones.
Okay, yeah.
It's just cyber.
Yeah, cyber. Right. So every girl that I went out with, woman I went out with, they were like they were down the road. Like we were married, we had 3 kids, on the first date.
You always do that shit.
And I said, hey, I just signed up for this steak and this scotch. I didn't sign up for anything else, right? And so Jennifer, and I told Jennifer, I said, look, I'm going to be having random sex with tons of people because I just got out, so I can't.
You met her?
Yeah, because I said I'm crazy about you, but I cannot. I just got out.
Yeah.
I've been married my entire life. I've been married forever.
Right.
So I said I just got out of here, so I cannot go back in.
Right.
And she was like so understanding, and she was 22 also. So she was so understanding and saying, yeah, I totally understand this. And so
Did you guys remain friends?
I would go get laid. No, we were dating.
Oh, okay.
I'd go get laid with someone else, and then I'd come back. I'd call her after at 11 o'clock at night, and we talked for 2 hours. And she was she knew everything, but she was so freed up and so understanding. So I said, I've never met anyone like this.
No, especially a young girl.
Yeah, a young girl, and she never lost herself, and she's never abandoned herself in the course of 29 years.
Wow.
She's always maintained her own integrity and who she is, but still full of love and life.
Those people exist.
Yeah, so I said, this is like a unicorn, so I'm marrying this person.
Seriously, especially as a girl in her 20s?
Yeah, and
I was a fucking mess.
I wasn't going to get married again. I wasn't going to have children again. So so much for those.
She fucked up.
So
she
much.
Fucked it all up.
She did. God knows. Yeah. Right. Now I have children who treat me like the worst. You're annoying. You're ridiculous.
It's gotta be so
hard. I said, excuse me. Do you know there are quite people out there who think I'm quite, useful and good and good and good. Yeah. And they're going, you're an idiot.
It's so humbling.
I know.
You need that though. You've got to be humble.
Oh yeah. No. So anyway, so that's So there's So for me, it's always intimate relationships. That's been my course. That's where I've learned the most.
Yeah, and as far as like the trauma thing, for people who've experienced trauma, what are some behavioral?
Well, first of all, people are always trying to get rid of their traumas.
Right.
Right, and that's just a mistake. And I don't know if therapy or therapists are doing that necessarily, because you can't get rid of any trauma. If something happens to you, it happened to you.
There is that thing, because I've definitely been a therapist in the past where it's about you just got to overcome it.
Yeah, and
you got to overcome it.
And there's no way you can overcome it. You can integrate it and you can create with it, but also what people don't really understand is if you get rid of one thing, you get rid of the other. If you get rid of your greatest liability, if you could, you also get rid of your greatest asset, because they're all together. So what you're looking at really is, how do I change my relationship to my traumas?
Yeah.
How do I have trauma rather than they have me? And it's a different, and for me, everything's about relationship. When I with my kids when they're younger, I wanted to teach them about relationships. I said, the sun is in direct relationship with the earth perfectly. If it was too close, we'd burn, and we'd burn up. We'd fry, and if it was too far away, we'd freeze to death. It's in perfect relationship for life to exist, right? And I said, and you want to think about that in every area of your life, right? In terms of your body, to your health, to your exercise, and on an ongoing basis, that you're always in the appropriate relationship. And if you're in the appropriate relationship, you'll have this high degree of creativity and production. So that's kind of what my theme is. So understanding, your relationships in every area, and this is as opposed to things have you, hold you hostage.
Right. Yeah.
That you actually have them. So you have anxiety, like with people who are highly anxious.
Yeah. What is that? I have anxiety. I say that.
So if people, and anxiety is trying to get control over something you've got no control over.
Yes.
That's what it is.
And it's not real.
The
things you hear in your head aren't real.
No. I mean,
that conversation.
Well, no, the noise in your head is never real. Now, people think, because they've had it, because it's so familiar and it's been there so long and it's so habitual, that they listen to it like it's themselves.
It sounds like truth.
But if you know, Jessimae, just as you as a stand-up comedian, right,
Mm-hmm.
that if you had any noise in your head while you're performing, there's no way you could be effective.
Right.
You have to be connected
Yes.
and creative, right? I mean, can you imagine if you're like a singer and you're trying to remember the lyrics?
Oh my God. I
You
just
can't-
thought about this past weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, some noise started before I went on stage. I'm like, nah, you can't perform like that. And I just shoot it away.
Yeah, and see, that's where people are really successful, because sometimes in their career they have noise, but as soon as someone says action or they go on stage, they're
It kicks
quiet,
in.
right?
Yep.
Kicks in, right? So, I mean, that's how I am with people in seminars in front of people. Is that as soon as I'm working with someone or coaching or leading or something,
You're there.
I'm there.
You're
never,
present.
I never have any noise in my head. And I mean, I could have the most severe traumas like 5 minutes before, and boom, that's all quiet. And I think that's true for anyone who's really in the right place doing the right thing.
Or a psychopath.
Or is that no? That's true.
But they have
That's
the
true.
ability to, like,
Or
murder somebody and
yes,
then go to dinner.
Exactly. Or a sociopath. That's totally true. Hopefully, we want to do this in a healthy way, right?
We want to
not
do
in
it in a
not in a
healthy way.
sociopathic way, right?
I don't have you for too long, but a couple people had some questions.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, I asked my fans. I said, I'm going to be sitting down with my life coach. Does anybody have any questions? One person said, do you try to look like a Lifetime movie dad on purpose?
I do.
Yes.
No. That's my former profession. I can't do much about how I look.
This is fun. Brian Quick, who is a regular fan of mine, he says, life coaches are just snake oil salesmen. Prove me wrong. I think we've already proved you wrong, Brian Quick. But what's a snake oil salesman?
Oh, that's like, well, first of all, he's making really archaic, references.
It's like the
That's
1990s.
Well, no, that's not the 1990s. That's from the 1850s.
Oh, shit, that's even longer.
Yeah, where some covered wagon is, people selling snake oil out of cover.
Like it's some sort
Like
of
a elixir.
remedy?
Yeah, it's a remedy for everything,
Right.
for anything that ails you.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I mean,
I know. It sounds like you might need to make an appointment, Brian.
I mean, I hope he updates his references. How's that? Let's start with that.
We need you to update your reference,
Right.
Brian.
Right. Do they make snake oil anymore?
I don't even know. Now I need to get some. I
I
bet
don't-
you
yeah.
it'll spike after
Right.
this.
If it's good for my skin, I probably would get it.
I would get it too.
Yeah.
I would be totally
Yeah.
roped into that.
Yeah, no.
Here's a good one. Kita Rainbow says, how do you get out of a rut and find your purpose?
First of all, you
Those
have
are
to.
two things.
Yeah, there's two different
Yeah.
things. So if you're in a rut, like we have to determine what that rut is, because you want to know the difference between spinning your wheels and actually getting somewhere, right? So there's signs, there's elements, there's like an anatomy to spinning your wheels. Like, okay, this is what it would look like if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right.
So first of all, we got to know what the rut looks like. I'd have to know what this
What
person
the rut- yeah,
what the
what
person
your blockage is.
determines as a rut. I don't know. Is
Right.
she like picking up cigarettes and smoking them? Is she like, is she in a relationship that she can't get out of?
A
Is
lot
she
of my
doing-
fans come to me and they say they're in a job they hate, and they don't know, they're afraid to quit or do something new. That seems to be a reoccurring issue with a lot of people. When
Well, I think that's the difference between people who are highly successful and the people who are not.
Yeah.
Because there's risk and stupidity, another core confusion.
Oh shit!
Right?
I definitely have that.
So risk and you can't have everyone.
I have them
Jessimae.
all, Breck.
So risk and stupidity is like you put everything together, you put all the odds in your favor. You look to see like exactly what if you're going to do a stunt, you'd put the stunt together in a bridge and then you drive your car. Stupidity is you just drive your car off the bridge without like setting up the stunt. So I think the difference, right, is first of all is that, I mean, if I keep doing this job in the same way, the conclusions are pretty clear, and that's what
Right.
stupidity is, right? It's got a finite amount of success. I know exactly where it's going to go. I mean, I'm pretty miserable, right? So as opposed to, what? I'm willing to start over. I'm willing to begin and look, maybe talk to someone, look to see like, what is it that I'd want to do? What is it that I don't think I can do? Right? Because I'm too old or I'm too this or I'm too down the road. Right. And I mean, I've had so many people transition and change the direction of their lives, but it does take a heroic act. And it does
Sure.
take like, I might have to bite the bullet financially for a bit as I begin something else. But if your life is more important than your lifestyle, you'll change the direction of something. You'll go, I'm going to start somewhere. And I mean, I did that. I mean,
Yeah.
who
You were acting.
well, I was acting and modeling for like, what? I don't know how many years. And then I went,
Humanoids from the deep.
And
I'm
I
getting
thought-
the goddamn movie poster.
and I thought, don't promote that show. And then I thought, I know, credibility, spoiler. Credibility spoiler.
I
So,
think it's badass.
I mean, who would have thought? I mean, there's nothing like this like 35 years. I mean, they didn't know really, right? So
No.
I just kind of fell into something, and it called me. And so when you fall into something, you're in the right place, doing the right thing, and you need some help with that sometimes.
Yes.
You will not be afraid. You'll just kind of drive things. You'll be more compelled by the creative expression than the result or the outcome.
Or the fear of it not working.
Yeah, and and I've fired lots of people because they're afraid to quit. I said, I
Wow.
know you're afraid to quit because you need to maintain this and this, but I'm telling you, I'm going to fire you and do you a favor. People will hire me to fire people because they're not being effective or something, right? So I said that's.
We've had conversations
You're
about
gonna.
that.
I'm sure I got.
Yeah, we got to go. Speaking of getting fired, we don't want you to get fired by your next.
So it's really essential that I think guidance and saying, getting encouragement for the direction. So you're not doing something completely stupid or something that's never going to work out, right?
Right.
But I also think there's some place for some people, right? You might not have the, like everyone thinks, well, I should be, this country, everyone thinks they should be something, right?
Yeah, they do.
As opposed to like, well, no, maybe, my satisfaction comes from doing the right thing at the right time with the right people.
Yeah.
Right? It's different.
Yeah, it is a lot different.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that since I've worked with you, because it is work. It's not. It's,
no, it requires work. Yeah.
It's work, and it requires checking back in and holding yourself accountable. It's opened all the avenues in my career and my relationship, and it's opened my eyes, and it's made me a more present, better, a person who contributes more. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, you're totally welcome. I think you're just the greatest. You know that I do.
Am.
You are.
Is that confidence or arrogance?
No, it was. I don't know, but it certainly wasn't. You didn't accept the compliment. Great,
I didn't really.
But that's all right.
No, I appreciate that. It does mean a lot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to continue this another time.
Yeah, no.
There's so many other things that we're gonna have to get to.
No,
so
I
many
know,
other
and I know
questions.
I can talk people to death. It's a horrible death, so I don't want to kill you off with that, right?
Well, you're a damn delight, Breck.
Thank you, honey.
I'll talk to you next time.
Okay.
Bye. Sharp Tongue Podcast. Beep beep beep.